Welcome to the deep dive. We've got your stack of sources right here. And today we're getting into something that really it goes right to the core of success. It's this idea of how to become, and this is the phrase they use, a true magnet for money, prosperity, and abundance.
Right.
And our mission for this deep dive is, well, it's very specific. We're not talking of your typical financial planning or business strategy.
No, not at all.
Instead, we're unpacking this really radical idea that the biggest challenge isn't earning prosperity, but mastering the act of receiving it. We're looking at consciousness shifts, some very, very specific affirmations, and even physical gestures that these sources just insist can unlock a lifetime of wealth.
It's such an immediate reframing of where the effort goes. The work isn't out there. It's all in here. It's entirely internal. And the premise is bold. It's almost countercultural, really, that there is literally more money than you could ever spend and more joy than you could ever imagine, just available right now.
Which just completely removes scarcity from the equation. Right?
Instantly.
If the abundance is infinite, then the only variable left is, well, it's us. So let's unpack that foundation belief system. Where do the sources even begin with this?
They start by broadening the definition of prosperity. I mean, they stretch it until it's almost unrecognizable to typical financial thinking.
Okay.
Prosperity in this material is holistic. It's money, yes, of course, but it's just as much about love, success, comfort, beauty, even the availability of your own time and knowledge.
Well, it's an all-encompassing state of being well-supplied in every area.
Exactly.
So if you're trying to manifest, say, a promotion, but you're just completely exhausted and you never have a spare minute, you're still coming from a place of overall lack.
Precisely. The universe doesn't compartmentalize, and this is key. The sources assert that the power within us is willing to give us our fondest dreams and enormous abundance in an instant.
In an instant.
Yes. The universal mechanism is described as highly responsive, immediate, no hesitation. The universe doesn't say, I'll think about it. It just responds and sends it through.
That's a universe operating at the speed of light. So if the supply is that instantaneous, what's the crucial requirement for us, the receiver? Because, I mean, clearly not everyone is experiencing this.
The crucial requirement is openness. That's it. You have to be open and ready to receive it. The material even gives this very visual metaphor. Think about the posture we take when we're stressed or defensive arms folded, shoulders hunched. You're physically closed off.
Right.
How can you let anything in physically or, energetically if you're in that state?
That makes a lot of sense, actually. Our physical posture so often just mirrors our psychological state.
Yeah.
If I'm closed off, I'm signaling that I'm guarding myself against something, even if it's something good.
Exactly. And to break that pattern, the sources suggest this really powerful physical gesture, just opening your arms wide.
So it's not just an internal feeling, it's a physical signal.
It's a visceral signal. They say you should open your arms wide so that the universe notices and responds. It's an invitation.
And then there's a declaration that goes with it, which I have to admit might feel a little awkward for some of us. They say to shout it.
They do. I am open and receptive to all the good and abundance in the universe.
Is that meant to be literal? I mean, don't you risk sounding a little manic, standing in your kitchen shouting that?
That's a fair question.
Yeah.
And the answer seems to be that the shouting isn't about volume so much as it is about intent. It's about commitment.
Okay.
You're trying to make the declaration so forceful that it just overrides all that internal doubt, all that programmed resistance you've built up. It has to move from a wish into an active, visceral commitment.
Ah, that distinction helps. It's not a performance. It's a statement of radical internal alignment.
Exactly. Whether you shout it or just whisper it forcefully into a mirror, the goal is signaling your readiness on this really deep, almost cellular level.
So once you've opened that door, we have to talk about what slams it shut. Which brings us right to the internal mechanics of attraction.
Right. This is where we get into the polarity of thinking. You've said, I am open, and the universe sends the abundance. But your ingrained thought patterns, they act like a filter. They decide if it's a trickle or a flood.
And the sources lay out a very, very strict mandate here. You create prosperity only by talking and thinking about abundance.
Only.
You absolutely cannot create prosperity by focusing on lack.
This is the core instruction. Concentrating on lack only creates more lack. Poverty thinking brings more poverty. It's a loop.
A self-fulfilling prophecy, really, just powered by your focus.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, they stress that gratitude thinking, focusing on what you already have, brings more abundance.
It just shifts that energetic loop. And this whole idea of flow extends to reciprocity. You know, what you put out, you get back.
Always.
Always. The material has a simple rule. Whatever you give out comes back to you. If you take from life, life will take from you. It's like this ultimate system of cosmic calming.
And this is where I found the material to be particularly challenging, but in a really good way. They get into what they call the subtle blocks. The little behaviors that signal to the universe, I don't really deserve good things, so I have to sneak them.
It's a remarkable piece of psychological insight, isn't it? We think of abundance blocks as these huge, obvious things, but they point to these tiny daily acts of, well, of subtle stealing.
Like what? The sources mention things that feel almost absurdly petty, like counting the paper clips and stamps you are taking home from the office.
Right.
Or stealing time or robbing others of respect. Why does something as small as a paperclip matter so much?
It's not about the monetary value of the paperclip. It's about the subconscious contract you make with yourself when you take it.
What do you mean?
Well, if you sneak a paperclip or, print the personal document on the office printer, you're signaling to your inner self and to the universe, I have to sneak what I need because I'm not worthy or capable of providing it for myself. You're choosing scarcity over deservingness.
I think we've all been guilty of stealing time, right? Showing up 5 minutes late or scrolling social media when we should be working. It's interesting to see that act through this lens.
It is.
It's a statement that says, I value my momentary gain over integrity and true deserved prosperity.
That's exactly the insight. These little acts, the ones we rationalize away, they reinforce a really deeply held belief that you have to operate in a state of lack and sneakiness just to get by.
And that completely undermines the foundation of deserving and abundance.
Far more than the cost of the item itself. The paperclip is just a physical manifestation of a lack belief.
So the actionable step here is intense awareness. You have to notice that paperclip habit and then proactively use tools to change those deep-seated beliefs.
Absolutely. The moment you're aware of these subtle blocks, you can start the process of reframing. And that brings us to the practical steps for aggressive prosperity thinking.
So if someone listening realizes they're trapped in that lack loop, what are the high-impact strategies the sources recommend for an instant rewiring?
The material is very insistent on this. If you are having money problems, you must aggressively develop prosperity thinking. And the best way to do that is through specific, repetitive affirmations. The sources highlight 2 in particular that they say have been used for many years and, quote, work well.
And what are they?
They're simple. First, my income is constantly increasing.
Okay.
And second, I prosper wherever I turn.
They are simple, but what about that little voice inside that says, that's not true, while you're repeating it? That internal resistance is a huge block for most people.
And that resistance is exactly why the practice has to be aggressive and heartfelt. You're essentially retraining a lifetime of negative programming. The sources suggest you repeat the affirmations until they resonate, until you feel the truth of the statement. Even if your bank account doesn't reflect it yet, you establish the new reality first, mentally.
Okay, so beyond affirmations, the material also really emphasizes the practice of just saying yes. How does that apply here?
Saying yes is about radical acceptance of good. When a compliment comes, when an opportunity pops up, when a small windfall appears, the immediate response should be yes. You accept it, you don't minimize it, you don't deflect it.
We are so conditioned to deflect compliments, aren't we? Someone says, great job, and the instinct is to say, oh, it was nothing.
Exactly. And the sources claim that saying yes to your world by accepting good without hesitation increases your opportunities and prosperity 100-fold.
Wow.
It's an exercise in welcoming the flow. And that yes applies externally, but the sources also say we have to practice it internally, which is where the daily mirror work comes in.
Right. Let's detail that core exercise. The mirror work is powerful because you have to face yourself while you're stating the new belief.
This is the mandatory high-impact practice. First, you stand with your arms outstretched, that gesture of openness we talked about, and you joyfully declare, I am open and receptive to all the abundance in the universe. Thank you, life.
And then specifically with the mirror.
The second step is to look directly into your own eyes. And you repeat the core affirmation, not mechanically, but letting the words truly flow from your heart. I am open and receptive to all good. The instruction is to repeat this 10 more times.
And the goal there is what?
The goal is profound. You're not just saying words, you're witnessing yourself declare a new truth. And the material promises that by doing this, you'll notice a feeling of liberation and you'll rapidly increase your prosperity consciousness.
That exercise sounds like it's designed to just crush the internal critic.
Yeah.
The sources also mentioned journaling for self-diagnosis, which sounds uncomfortable but necessary.
The journaling is critical for finding those deeply hidden, often generational blocks. First, you have to confront your beliefs about money. Specifically, you identify your biggest fear about money, and then you write down why.
That helps anchor a vague fear into something concrete that you can challenge.
Exactly. Then you examine the patterns. What did you learn about money as a child? How are finances handled in your family? And how do those patterns show up in your life right now?
It's like treating your subconscious like an old operating system that just needs its buggy drivers replaced.
That's a great analogy. And the replacement step is visualization. You write down what it would be like to have all the things you always wanted. You see the life where you'd travel, but the key is to feel it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
You have to mentally inhabit the abundance first.
That moves us from passive wishing into actively designing the receiving mechanism. But if we're talking about instantly creating wealth, the shortcut everyone thinks of is, winning the lottery.
And this is where the sources give a very strong, very necessary warning. They label relying on the lottery as the ultimate form of scarcity thinking.
The ultimate form.
Yes. They stress that winning the lottery cannot create lasting, sustained good.
Why is it a flaw in the fix? Why doesn't that kind of external money stick?
Because it's an external event. It's temporary. The sources claim most lottery winners lose almost all of it within 2 years and are often worse off than before. The flaw is simple. It doesn't involve changing your consciousness. It's like pouring champagne into a cracked glass. The wealth is there, but the internal structure to hold it is just absent.
So winning by a fluke is just a massive injection of cash into a scarcity mindset. And that mindset then naturally sabotages the wealth because the inner self still believes deep down, I don't deserve this.
That's it, exactly. If you rely on a fluke, you're telling the universe, I don't deserve good in my life except by chance. But the abundance you receive through conscious internal change, that becomes permanent. It's yours by right of consciousness.
That's the sustainable path. You change the inner belief, and the outer reality stabilizes.
The true steps to riches are affirming, declaring, deserving, and allowing. And when you do that, the material promises far greater riches than you could ever win by accident.
So as we close out this deep dive, what are a few final, powerful affirmations for the listener to carry forward? The ones that really distill this philosophy?
I would focus on 3 specific areas. First, attraction. I am a magnet for money. Prosperity of every kind is drawn to me. Second, integrity and flow. To counter that paperclip habit, I pay my bills with love, and I rejoice as I write out each check.
This shifts the dread into gratitude.
I like that one.
And finally, the ultimate statement of self-worth.
I deserve the best, and I accept the best now.
That acceptance really is the core of it all. It moves us from pleading for scraps to just recognizing and accepting what's already ours.
It connects right back to that heart thought, the idea that we're surrounded by infinite wisdom and backed by universal power.
And the ultimate lesson here, which really binds all these sources together, is that the universe always says yes. It says yes to whatever we choose to believe, think, or say. The goal is to choose positive thoughts, to be a yes person in a yes world.
The final declaration that sums it all up is, life supplies all my needs in great abundance. I trust life.
Powerful words, and it requires a profound shift in perspective from all of us. So if the universe always says yes to your current beliefs, your most deeply held ones, consider this as you go through your day. What is your smallest, most unconscious action right now affirming about your value? That paperclip you took, that 5 minutes of time you stole, that small resentment you're holding on to, what quiet belief is the yes universe currently responding to? That's the thought we'll leave you with until next time.